Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. The wait, if you can even call it simply a wait, is over for Shedeur Sanders. He is going to the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland makes a move to trade up with the Seahawks in the 5th round. Pick 144. And now a crowded quarterback room in Cleveland all of a sudden. Chris Honorado, Damian Harris, Emery Hunt on CBS Sports HQ. Okay, guys, first reaction. Why now, Damian, in Cleveland?
I honestly, I couldn't tell you. And I'm going to go ahead and skip forward and say, all Shedeur needs to do now is go on the field, step up, play your game. That's what you've been waiting for. The opportunity has presented itself. Now go do that. The talking, all the nonsense, it don't matter anymore. My question is, just like you just asked me, why Cleveland? Why right now? Why draft Dillon Gabriel and then bring in Shedeur Sanders? Because the first week of preseason, when Dillon Gabriel trots out there, we know that there's going to be some boos because people want to see Shedeur Sanders on the football field. So I like the pick because Shedeur Sanders, obviously with the talent he has, deserved to be drafted. But now you've got an uncomfortable situation in your QB room with two young quarterbacks. Dillon Gabriel thinking, okay, I might be the guy. I might take the reins. But now he's got to worry about Shedeur in his back pocket. It's an interesting situation, to say the least. Okay, Emery, explain maybe the theory behind taking Gabriel where Cleveland did, but then seeing value with where Sanders slid and thinking, okay, well, let's create some competition here. We don't know that Deshaun Watson's going to play next season. The other quarterback.
Here's the thing. Let's say you go out in the preseason. You know what you have in Joe Flacco. He's been in this offense, and we know what we're going to get from him. He doesn't even have to play in the preseason. We don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to be healthy enough to participate in the preseason, so those two are out of the way. You could take two rookie quarterbacks. One plays a half, the other plays the other half. Let them battle it out, and then if both guys play really well, guess who becomes the trade chip? So this is a situation where Cleveland can have its cake and eat it too. Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel can look at this as, hey, we're battling for QB3 or QB1 on another team, because that's where the NFL has that that ability to have guys go and start elsewhere. Because if you're going to take a guy like Dillon Gabriel, who's a gamer, and go out there and play and ball. We know he's been highly successful. Shedeur Sanders, we know what he can do, especially if it's the fourth quarter. I think this is a situation where both the Browns and both quarterbacks, at first you was like, man, why would you take this guy? Why would you go and make him uncomfortable with another guy? Let's go out there and compete and play.
What a storyline here on day 3 of the NFL draft. We said coming in there would be a lot of questions, a lot of unsettledness with this draft in terms of what happens after pick 1 and Cam Ward to Tennessee. Who thought it would take all the way to 144 for us to see Shedeur Sanders hit the board? Going to the Cleveland Browns. We're all over it today on CBS Sports HQ and our YouTube channel.
How quickly you expect those traits to be able to play, to be the guy, if in fact you think that can happen quickly.
Offensive line, that's critical for Shedeur. Said it when Tom Brady was taken. The offensive line's got to protect him. He's got to have that fortress in front of him, as Brady did, allowed him to have that success. You think about what he had at Colorado. He dealt with adversity. He dealt with a muddy pocket. He done it with everything NFL conditions lead you to have to deal with once you get to the pro level. Then you think about the character. I think this is the misperception. I think the fact of the matter is Deion was a great teammate. Deion practiced hard. They loved him in the NFL. They loved him with the Atlanta Braves in Major League Baseball. Shedeur, he will galvanize. He'll be that kind of guy. So again, the offensive line, if you're talking about the Cleveland Browns, that's the issue, guys. If they can protect him, obviously get the weapons, but up front is where they got to be strong. Allow him to do his job, and he will be a surgeon. He will pick you apart. I mean, you give Shedeur time. He sees the field. He's accurate to all levels, and he is a tremendous competitor, incredibly tough. So, again, durable, having all the hits he took, and never got hurt, okay? And he never running game. Not mention offensive line. He had no running game. So he was out there, and he led them to a winning year. He led them to an upset over TCU when he first got there, first game. Then the wheels came off. That Stanford game when the second half lead the lead was won with the half. Shedeur Sanders, to me, when you talk about the locker room and the players around him, they love him. Now, the perception from others outside, based on what there's the noise, maybe they didn't like what they heard. I don't know how it was handled. You get all the word about this, that, and you think, well, they're just trying to hurt Shedeur. Teams are throwing it out there. You don't know what was true, what wasn't. how Deion's going to operate. Deion's going to stay out of it. He's not going to be calling or threatening any coaches or saying, or there'll be a threat that Deion could take over. Deion's not happy. Deion's not going to say anything. Deion's going to coach Colorado. So a lot of this stuff, I think, just made no sense to me, kind of the negativity you heard over the last couple months.
The perception, though, that you talked about, that's all until the draft gets going, because it became his reality. The fact is, the 16th player on my board, higher on yours, right around 25 on Matt's board, went 144th overall. We've established a couple of things. We think he has a chance to legitimately compete for the quarterback job at some point in the relative near future. We've also established we like to fit in a Kevin Stefanski-style offense. Here's the question, and Reese, you kind of got us there at the beginning of this conversation. What lessons will be learned? And will they be used effectively to turn him into the player that I think we have some level of confidence across this desk that he can become? If so, this has a legitimate chance to be and this is not hyperbole here, the best value on day 3 so far, because it's the most important position in all of teams.
Hit rate the last 31 years for fifth-round picks at quarterback is 0. 0.
It's your guy, though.
0.
Buck the trend.
I'm saying up until now, the last 31 years, okay? Quarterbacks in the 5th round, you want the chart? Here it is, right here. I went back and looked at it.
All right, what do you got?
From 1994 to 2024, it's 31 years. What's that say?
0 for 43.
0 for 43 with a couple still to be determined.
Wow.
Spencer Rattler, one of those guys, still to be determined. Right? 1970 to 1993, hit rate in the 5th round, 19%, right? So again, 5th round's not the round to get a quarterback. Okay? It hadn't been proven. It was going back to 1970. That's a long time, right? Shedeur Sanders, 5th round pick. We'll see if he can do something that very few have been able to do.
The aberration, though, probably with a couple of notable exceptions, 5th round or beyond, is that very few quarterbacks were evaluated like this just on the tape.
Right.
At the same level that he
That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a talent issue. This isn't a can-do issue. This transcended that. And that's why I think of anybody on that list that you have of fifth round guys, none of them had the skill set that this young man had. This is not about can you play the position. This is about do we want you to play the position for us. That's what this came.
Why wouldn't they, Lou?
Well, look, that's a whole nother discussion that we've had in many different ways for weeks
I would say
and
that
months now.
It's not one of the toughest quarterbacks you've ever.
But Mel, this isn't about this isn't about quarterback traits and quarterback characteristics, personal football character. That's not about this. This is personal.
Has he had an off the field issue? No, he has not.
Mel, you don't have to sell it to me.
No, I don't know what we're talking about here.
You're right. You're right.
Yes.
You're right. But you know what? Mel, the draft has spoken.
That's right. That's the key, Mel. It's not putting a value judgment on whether those who passed were right or wrong. They did.
Yep.
So now, whenever you're in circumstances in life, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, whether they're fair or whether they're unfair, you might have to deal with them.
That's
and
right.
now Shedeur Sanders has to deal with it. And for whatever reason, whether he played a minute, microscopic percentage, 0%, or it's a legitimate criticism of the way he conducted himself during the draft process, this was the result.
Yeah.
Now he has an opportunity to answer it. I think yelling at the NFL about it is not.
There's not a quarterback. Boomer Esiason